move it on to McClintock.
McClintock would be airing on the 12th, people in Winchester, on the 12th at 9 p.m., Friday night the 12th. And McClintock with John Wayne.
John Wayne. And I was talking about the Corman Company, and there's kind of a John Wayne Company. You know, he's 1963. He's making movies that I guess some people would have thought had gone out of style 10 years before, but he is still making them. They're still making money, and he'll make them through the 60s. And so in this are a lot of people you'll see, familiar faces from John Wayne movies. It's directed by Andrew McLaughlin, who directed a lot of Wayne's latter movies. McLaughlin did a lot of westerns, a lot of television westerns, a lot of Gunsmoke, a lot of How the Gun Will Travel. His leading lady is Maureen O'Hara, who he'll make 4 other movies with. Bruce Cabot, Chill Wills are kind of standbys in all his westerns. They tend to have small roles, sometimes bigger roles, but they pop up.
Bruce Cabot from one of our monster movies, right?
Yeah, Bruce Cabot, who played Jack Driscoll in King Kong.
So it would be 41, 51, it's like 30 years later.
30 years later, he's playing supporting roles in John Wayne westerns. And believe it or not, I didn't know this until I started reading about this movie, but I guess it's pretty apparent on screen. This is a Western adaptation of Taming of the Shrew.
Oh.
So you know, you're giving your audience some class a week from tomorrow when they see a little Shakespeare adaptation.
Taming of the True Grit. Where is this in time compared to True Grit with John Wayne?
True Grit is one of his latter ones. So, you know, Wayne's movie persona lasted through the 60s, but then it kind of worn thin. But then he came back kind of playing the same kind of role, but with more depth in True Grit. And my personal favorite, The Shootist, came in the early 70s. I guess The Shootist was 1976. I think it was his last movie before he died. Excellent film. True Grit is right up there with it. And so, I mean, it's before that. This is classic Wayne. And then he comes back in the 70s with kind of, you know, I would still say classic Wayne, but, you know, the character with more depth, the character who is, you know, something more behind him than the hard glare and ready smile of the true American hero. It's you know, it's a dark, I won't say a dark side, but there's a thoughtful, introspective side of the men that have been killed and things like that, and you can see that more in his eyes. And it's really an amazing achievement by Wayne to take his character basically and not change it, but just add extra layers to it so late in his career. And was he a great actor? I'll let other people say that, but he created a great character, and that character appeared in probably dozens of movies, but he always gave it everything he had, and he really should get credit for what he did very late in his career.
I agree with you.
By the way, this movie is famous for its finale mudslide scenes. There's a big fight in a mud pit, and one character after another slides down into it, and they're beating up each other. And it's probably one of the messiest scenes in the history of the cinema.
Not Joan Collins and Linda Evans.
No, not exactly that.
Okay.
But I mean, Maureen O'Hara had a lot of Irish spunk in her, so she's as fiery as can be in this.
Is she wearing a dress in the mudslide, or?
I believe, yes, she is. Well, wait a minute.
Of course.
I forget the dress came off and they had those pantaloon type things on. So your audience, hold that in suspense for your audience.
Okay.
And this is Yvonne De Carlo's last movie before Lily Munster.
Really?
Yes, Lily Munster was born in 1964, and this movie was made in 1963. And
so Yvonne De Carlo went from country to monster movies.
Yes.
She should have taken Bruce Cabot with her.
Yeah, they could have used her for Kong. I guess they had that monster that lived in the basement and that roared sometimes, or was that the Addams Family?
I get them all confused, too, because I was so young.
Yeah, but I watched them all, and so they're all kind of melded in my mind.
They were unique.
Yeah. Yvonne De Carlo has just passed 40 when she makes this movie, and she was born a bit too late. They tried to make her into the glamour star, but in the post-war era, the studios didn't have the control and all that, so she never really career never really got off the ground. She starred in a few movies, but never really went anywhere, and she was kind of reduced to, this is a supporting role in this movie. It's not a major movie, not a major role. And all of a sudden, her immortality comes a year later as Lily Munster. So,
well, I'm going to say this about the Munsters and the Addams Family. At that point in time, the horror films had become nice fare for early evenings, at least in Boston, where like at 7 o'clock at night they would have a horror movie.
Yeah.
And they would have characters. We had Feep up here, which was a guy with a round head, and probably Frank Avarucci who played Bozo. He probably played Feep as well. And Feep would introduce the movies.
Yeah.
And so with those movies being so popular with the kids, I was one of the kids. I think it was just brilliant of Hollywood to do these Addams Family monster things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the time migration. When the Universal monster movies came on television premieres, had their television premieres in 1957, 58, they were coming on like at midnight. And kids like me would hear about them, but there was no way my parents were letting me sit up. Then every year they migrated earlier, and then they were on 10 o'clock, and then
right.
they were on 9 o'clock. Pretty soon they were on Saturday afternoons, we could watch them. And about this time, 9 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, they could pop up any time. And so I guess our horror host of note was Zachary, and so yours was a guy named Phoebe?
Feep, F-E-E-P, an outer space little Martian alien. And there was Vampira, right, doing all this stuff?
Vampira, well, she was out on the West Coast, and she was long before this. When you read about her career, it was amazingly short. It was in the early 50s, so I don't know if she had her own horror show later on or not. I think not. The horror hosts that came in around in the late 50s, 60s to introduce the Universal ones, I think were a different breed. Anyway, I guess we better move on to the...
We have exactly 5 minutes.
Okay.